Muhammad Khalil Tahir, okay. Right.
My question is, I have some non-Muslim friends asked a question about the marriage of Christ. As I said, the Prophet should not be married.
The Prophet should not be
married.
Married. Why not?
I know that the non-Muslim friends asked, as they said, the Christ was not married. I want the Christ was married or not.
You see, if the Prophet should not be married, then all who believe in him will become extinct. Because they will not marry either, and their race will come to an end. So it's a good formula to bring humankind to an end. See? Why shouldn't the Christians follow Jesus Christ if that is the model? Is he a model or not a model? Ask them.
Yeah, he said
if he's a model, then stop marrying and disappear. Hand over your country to those who come from other countries. Will they do that?
Well, I don't know, I didn't ask them.
All right, good. Any other question?
Yeah, another question is, why the Muslims are allowed to have 4 wives, men? Why should a woman can have 4 husbands?
Has your father married 4 times?
No, my.
Your uncle?
No, nobody in my family.
Nobody in the family. So why do you say, why are the Muslims told to marry 4 times? They're not. They're permitted in certain situations.
They're not allowed to ask what kind of situation they're permitted to get married.
I have spoken on this subject at length for hours in different question and answer sessions. Altogether I have spoken for hours. So instead of my repeating everything, you should have access to those cassettes. I am noticing this, that the Ahmadis in general in most countries do not know that they have answers available to them in their own country, lying in their mission houses. So what is the fun of sending these cassettes and having it recorded in all the mission houses of the world if the Ahmadis do not even know that they exist? And if you knew, the moment a question was raised in your mind, you could have contacted the mission and said, I want a cassette on this subject, and they will provide you. Right? Thank you. Yes, don't run away with the cap, please. Go on, Sam. Yeah, right.
Yesterday I asked you a question about our behavior toward pets, and
yes, that's right. Yes.
I'm satisfied.
Thank you.
Why need more explanation?
Please tell me. Your wife requires more explanation.
Yes.
Where is she here?
I hope so. She was asking that if we shouldn't be so careful with the dog, then why he said that there was a dog in the house and the
angels.
I
understand that. I have spoken on this many a time. The fact is, how does she know, or anybody else knows, what he meant by a dog? Because many Muslim scholars have mentioned the similarity of the word qalb with kalb. And the Sufis particularly have spoken volumes on this similarity, and they say human heart can turn into a kalb, not qalb, which means a dog. So if he turns towards the earthly things, then instead of a human being, he is closer to being a dog. And the Holy Quran has also spoken of this subject. A man who turns to the earthly things is similar to that of a dog. Masaluhu kamasalil kalb. So when the Holy Quran is speaking of that in parable, why should we not understand that Rasulullah ﷺ was also commenting on the same verse? And he was also speaking in parables. So if there are people who are materialistic, who are avaricious, who are ridden by their own passions, if such a man lives in a house, no gentleman would visit that house. So angels are also referred to as good human beings. So that kalb, kaf lam be, has been mentioned in the Holy Quran in application to the human behavior. So I believe, in the first instance, that tradition could have a relation to that verse of the Holy Quran, and that is what he meant. Secondly, the type of dogs which were kept in those days in Arabia and also in our countries are generally for defensive purpose, for protection, and they were kept loose. And if such a dog who is vicious, who is fearful of such a dog, is found in any house, gentlemen generally don't visit such houses. They're afraid of being bitten or being embarrassed by being chased by a dog. Nobody likes that. So maybe that is what he referred to. But it is impossible to believe. I totally reject that meaning, and I don't think it can be attributed wisely to this hadith that if there is a dog somewhere, angels do not come there. What do the dogs do to the angels? Why are they afraid of them? Absolutely nothing wrong. If there is a dog kept, for instance, in a Muslim's house for the purpose of game, if the dog is used for catching birds and things, or rabbits, is it not permissible in the Holy Quran? It is permissible. The Holy Quran mentions it, that when you go out for game with the help of dogs, you say Bismillah before releasing them, and whatever they kill, even if you can't slaughter it, that becomes permissible for you. So where will these dogs be kept? If they are kept in their own homes, like in the older culture, they did not have different kennels for dogs. The dogs were kept in their own houses. So how could Islam permit you to keep dogs and then tell you, all right, you keep the dogs, we have permitted, but the angels won't visit you? It's not reasonable. So either that tradition has to be interpreted metaphorically in the light of the Holy Quran, where dogs are specifically mentioned in relation to some crooked human beings. And we understand from that Rasulullah was referring to that type of dog. Or the meaning should be that if there are violent dogs, if there are dangerous dogs in houses, other gentlemen will not visit you. And I have noticed this in our own family. Some people have dogs, some brothers or cousins, let's say, have dogs. Sometimes they're loose, and it becomes very embarrassing when you enter the house and they start attacking you. So one avoids that, and sometimes one tells them that unless you keep them on leash and tight, we will not visit you. Not as a protest, but because it's not possible. So maybe that is what he meant. Next time you go to your wife, ask her if she is still satisfied or not. If you not, tell me the question tomorrow then.
Thank you. I have one more question.
Yes, please. From yourself?
Yes. As we believe that Jesus, peace be upon him, after he left from after 32 years after that incident, he went toward Kashmir and he spent a long time there.
Right.
What kind of contribution do we see toward religion from that part of life?
Incidentally, let me tell you also that the Holy Quran speaks of dogs serving a very good purpose, living with the holiest of people in that age. And they are I'm speaking to the dogs of the people of the cave.